Hey, you guys, I am so sorry I couldn't be with you today, but that does not mean I want us to stop our flow. We are still going to be digging into understanding identity, but let's take a quick recap of last week. Last week, we talked about race, bias, ethnicity, nationality. We also took a look at gender, sexual orientation, and religion. We decided to figure out which part of our identities are static, which cannot change no matter what we do. And we also learned about which parts of our identity are dynamic, that can change at any time. And so now we're going to take a look at socioeconomic class. What is that? But before we do, I want you to go ahead and add to your notes the word on the screen, hierarchy. I want you to go ahead and add the arrow that is going up and down in yellow. And I also want you to add the dollar signs, the dollar bills, y'all. Add them racks onto your notes. Now, when you look at hierarchy, the yellow arrow going up and down, and the dollar bills, what would your definition of hierarchy be? If you said that hierarchy is a ranking system, you got it right. Hierarchy is a ranking system. It determines where you are on the totem pole, whether you're at the top or at the bottom, whether you are rich or poor, whether you have or do not, whether you made A honor roll or you didn't make it at all, whether you mastered the star or you are still approaching. Ranking systems follow us no matter where we go. From you being a child to being an adult, you will always be faced with the ranking system. Where do I fall on the ranking system? Even if you become a model or a rapper, who is the best rapper in all time? They literally made a ranking list for it on the top 50. They do the top Forbes list, those who make the most money in the world. They even have the world's most beautiful woman and the world's most handsome man. There's a ranking list everywhere you turn in the world, not just in the US, in the world. And so make sure in your notes you have hierarchy, you have that arrow, and you have those dollar bills listed because that's going to help you remember socioeconomic class, knowing that there is a ranking system called hierarchy. Now, let's look at the definition for socioeconomic class. What is it? Well, socioeconomic class are a group of people who have the same social, economic, cultural, political, or educational status. So this is a group of people who are on the same level. There's no hierarchy amongst this same group because everyone in this group is the same. Make sure you're adding this definition to your notes. Now, what types of class are there? You have the upper class, and this group, they make $188,000 or more. Okay? Now, this upper class does not include Beyonce, does not include Oprah, does not include Bill Gates. Those people would be a part of the elite class, but we're not going to worry about them today. Let's just get a little closer to home. And so, upper class, these are people who probably own businesses. And these are people who probably are either maybe self-employed, it just depends. But these are definitely corporate people who own businesses, are presidents of companies. That is probably what you will see. And then you have the upper middle class. They make about $126,000 to $188,000. Again, these people are probably in that business world and in that realm. Then you come down a little further to middle class. Now, these people are probably still in the business world, but they are not in a a leading position to where they own a business or they're running it, but they probably are teachers like me. I would be considered middle class. I'm right in that bubble. Teachers, nurses, those types of jobs that require um, a certain degree in order to work in that field. Okay. Then you have working class. And so when you're looking at working class, they make about 31,000 to 42,000. And so these jobs may not require a degree, but they may require an associate's degree. So these people would either be white collar, you may hear that term. They work in corporate businesses. So they may work for the state, they might work for the city, doing different work like that. You also have blue collar, and these people do manual labor. So they may work in certain factories or different corporate positions where they are building or working with their hands, doing construction, things of that nature. And then you have lower class, which is $31,000 or less. And that could be a range from working for the city or the state to working at McDonald's. That is pretty much the range for a lower class. And so when you're looking at these different classes of people, if you have someone in upper class, everyone in upper class is sharing that same social, economic, cultural, political, and educational status. They're all on the same level with upper class. Same with upper middle class. Those people share the same social, economic. And when we look at social, they're hanging around with people who also make that same amount of money. Economic, they have the same economic problems or successes. Cultural, the culture of people who make more money is very different from someone who makes less. You may be able, if you're upper class, you probably have a boat and you probably go out on Lake Travis every Saturday to go fishing and water skiing, whereas someone in lower class probably doesn't do that. And so the culture for upper class and lower class is very different. And so, just to give you an example, I am middle class. My husband is middle class. I'm a teacher. My husband is a police officer, and we are middle class. And so, we had neighbors that we met not too long ago, and my neighbor was a realtor, and her husband actually um, what did that man do? He ran a construction company with his father. Now, his father owned the business, and so his son was partnering with them. So they own a business. So with him owning a business and his wife being a realtor, they were in upper middle class. They owned a boat. They owned the little water jets, and they often they owned land out in outside of Austin. They literally owned the land, and they went hunting. They had a shooting range. They took trips. They did a lot of things that my husband and I didn't do on a regular basis, and so their social, whereas they and their family and friends went fishing. He even gave me a fish that he got that morning. I was working that morning and he was fishing that morning. And he gave me a fish that he had just caught that morning, and it was so good. And so their social and cultural um, dynamics are very different from mine. And so that's where the playing field becomes very different. My husband and I have never been in a boat. We've never been on a cruise. We've never gone, well, my husband has, but I've never gone fishing, and we have never gone hunting. And so when you look at the status and how it changes, there are things that upper middle class does that lower class doesn't, or that middle class can do that working class may not be able to do. And so when you're looking at this ranking system of what I can do and what you can do, we're looking at the different layers of how it defines or even limits certain people from doing certain things. And so make sure you have written down the different types of classes in your notes. Now let's take a look at the degrees. If I'm looking at these different classes, what type of degrees do these people have? Well, if you're an upper class, you probably have a master's or a doctorate degree. But is that always true? Certainly not. There are many people who maybe have a bachelor's degree or drop out of college altogether and have a fantastic idea like Bill Gates. Bill Gates dropped out of the University of the University of Texas at Austin, right downtown where we live. He dropped out and created Microsoft. And he is one of the richest men in the world. So there are people who become self-employed and create their own businesses and become a part of upper class or even elite class. And so do you need a degree to be in upper class or to be elite? No, you do not. You can totally make your own way. So just want to let you know that. And so upper class, you have a master's or even a doctorate degree, depending on what you want to do in life for a career. Upper middle class has a bachelor's. Middle class, they would say you have an associate's, which is not always true. I have a bachelor's degree and I'm in middle class, and I'm also working on my master's degree. Does that mean I'm going to become upper class? I would love that to be true, but that's not always the case. And then when you look at working class, they have high school diploma at that, and that's kind of just where it stops. All right. And so when you're taking a look at these different layers, I want to ask, is socioeconomic class dynamic or is it static? Are you stuck in your socioeconomic class forever? Or can you move? Am I locked? Am I stuck in this hierarchy of class? If I'm in working class at 18, am I stuck? Or can I move up? Do I have control over my socioeconomic class? And that is where I'm going to leave you. I hope you have taken your notes. I hope that you think about what I've talked about in this video for your homework tonight. Answer the next question on the screen, and we will talk about your thoughts on this tomorrow.